Hi, so I wanted to make a quick video talking about best before dates and expiry dates and how they're being removed from up to 500 fresh products. And I think the leaders in this were Waitrose and Morrison's, but other supermarkets are following suit. That's the UK supermarkets. I'm not sure if this is happening in your part of the world, so you might have to check with that. And if you do find out, please let us know in the comments below. Best before and use by dates are just guidelines, apparently, old wives' tales that, are things should really just be thrown out when they're past the best before date. Just replace it. That's how consumerism works. It's not just that with food, that's how we treat things in general, electronics and things. When there's something new out, the old stuff's actually obsolete and we don't need it anymore because it's inferior. Just throw it out. It's got no use anymore. So now in 2022 we're becoming more and more conscious about waste and recycling and the planet and the environment. And it's interesting to me that people have been banging on about climate change for many years, but it's just only now in 2022 that supermarkets are implementing this policy that they will remove these best before dates from products like, for example, broccoli, which usually is fine, if not great to eat like a week after its best before date. Products can definitely outlast the best before date by many years, especially in the case of canned foods. And there's actually YouTube videos that you could check out after you watch, like, and subscribe to my video about the war rations and things like that people have found very old war rations, packet goods like crackers, rice and things like that, but mainly we're talking here about canned foods like canned meats and things like that. And they take these war rations from the First and Second World Wars. The food inside tends to be fairly intact and it seems to be edible. There's probably some things to be said about the level of nutrition in those products, but definitely I think that's something you should check out if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, products can outlast their best before dates by years. And on that note, I would suggest, now with these supermarkets doing these things to reduce food waste and things, the way that these supermarkets deal with their discarded supplies is very much has implications on their balance sheets and their tax and their income and their, stuff like that. So I don't think it's necessarily to do so much with tax implications, but I think it's more to do with supply issues and supply constraints and costs rising and inflation that has been imparted on us by the global economic situations. And so we've got supply chain issues created by these wars and things going on, created by COVID, and all these things created supply chain issues and energy distribution issues. And so we have a situation then which is very cumbersome and needs to be adjusted for. And the way that these supermarkets are doing this is by changing certain things that should have been changed a long time ago, before they were benefiting a lot from these best before days. If you think about it, if something has gone expired way before it actually has, it means that the consumer can throw it out and buy a new one and replace it. And to the supermarkets, that's a good thing. The supermarket doesn't care really whether you consume that product. They care about you buying another product and the speed at which you return to buy another product. So have that in mind when they're telling you that they're trying to reduce the climate impact and stuff like that. These things could have been done years ago. So in my mind, it's more about selling the produce that they actually have, making a profit from it, and taking less of a loss in that sense, because it works out more profitable for them to do that than to mess around with, donating food. Canned fish is the way to go, because if we do have supply chain issues which lead to food crisis, then you want to be prepared for that. And the way to prepare for that isn't necessarily by buying big bags of pasta, rice, and potato sacks and stuff. Ideally, what you want is canned fish, because canned fish has extremely long expiry and it's got all the good stuff packed in there. Mainly your omega-3, easily digestible form of protein, which is the fish, and you're also going to get, other minerals in there, mainly because it's a seafood type thing. So you're going to get like an abundance of minerals. Canned fish is probably the best way to go. Sardines are extremely cheap, so you've really got no excuse to stock up on like the basic, value sardines, like the essentials Waitrose sardines. They're very cheap. I've got just a ton of them in my cupboard downstairs. Always be prepared. It doesn't matter whether you're living in good times or bad times. There's really no harm in stocking up in cans of sardines, and actually cans of wild caught, Alaskan salmon or Pacific salmon, and to have that fish there is going to benefit you tremendously. In the case of salmon, you have like a ridiculously high amount of thiamine in that salmon, and that is way underrated, because that thiamine is literally going to be a godsend in a survival situation where you need to produce as much energy as possible on a mitochondrial level, for your immune system, for your brain activity, for your muscles and everything else, your digestive system to function correctly. It's the really easily digestible, and you've got tons of astaxanthin, which is an antioxidant, which is going to protect you, and make for a good situation, nutritional profile. So that's really survival foods right there. You think canned fish, who eats canned fish? There's really not much else that I would think of in a big supermarket that could be healthier than wild caught salmon, whether it's canned or not, because it still preserves the omega-3, and that's what you're looking for, the omega-3 and the thiamine. Not so much thiamine in sardines. Actually, there's an enzyme which prevents thiamine from being absorbed, so consider that. You want to have a lot of salmon if you can afford it. If you can't, go with sardines. I saw this quote on a website: supermarkets can and do donate to food banks, but food banks have a limited amount of time to turn over ripe produce around before it goes bad. Food banks are prohibited from giving away food that's past its use or best by date. This often means This often means that perishable products still end up in the bin. So basically, these situations where these food banks are donating food doesn't necessarily end up in the hands of the people who need it. It still gets thrown away, but the supermarkets get to say that they donated it. They probably receive charity relief for donating to charity. I know countries, France and Spain, they have like a cap on how much they can claim back of the original value of the food against their income tax, but I'm not sure, corporate tax, but I'm not sure about in the UK. If you eat as many vegetables as I do, you're always going to get, your bin's going to be full of scraps, vegetable scraps, and every time you throw it out, you're going to feel like, oh wow, could have done something with that scrap. It's all organic matter. And so a lot of local councils, if you live in the UK, a lot of areas, they probably have these systems in the US as well, where you actually can buy a composter, different sizes of compost bin that you can throw your vegetable scraps into that compost bin, and it will turn it over into compost, which you can then use to grow other foods or herbs or whatever you want to grow around your house. Or you could give that away to people who do grow, on their local allotments. You could leave the bags of that at your local allotments. Either way, it's good, especially if you eat organic food. You're gonna have really good quality compost. So what do you think? Do we need best before dates? Do you stick by them? Let me know in the comments below, because I certainly grew up as one of those kids who was like, oh no, the date's gone on this, I can't eat it, it's gonna make me ill, or this and that. I don't even wash my vegetables before I eat them most of the time, to be real with you, unless I see some slug poop or something on there. But Do you stick by your best before dates? Let me know in the comments below. Do we need best before dates? How will we determine whether things are fresh or gone off? How will the supermarkets determine that? Will we be buying spoilt produce? What do we think about all that? If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm and that. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.